Hi everyone, and welcome back to Stamp with Anna, and today I'm going to show you another card that I'm sending off to a customer for a customer thank you card. And as I've been saying, usually when I send out customer thank you cards for their orders, what I do is design a card and then mass produce it and send it off to everyone who's placed an order. But this time I thought I would do something a little different and send each customer a card that was made using a product that they ordered. So that way they can have a little bit of inspiration. So when they go use their new product, they'll have a jumping off point or starting off point. So this particular customer ordered, among other things, Flirty Flamingo cardstock and Flirty Flamingo ink. So I decided, I've been wanting to make this monochrome card for a long time and I just never got around to it. So when I saw her order, I said, oh, perfect opportunity to make this card. So this is what I came up with. And I don't know if you can see that nice little shine that the embossed image and sentiment bring to this card. And it's really simple to make. It doesn't take much time, even though it's all embossed. So let's get started and I'll show you how I made it. The stamp set that I used is the Celebrate Sunflowers. And I love this. When this first came out, I did a lot of cards just using the dies that come that coordinate with it, which are called the sunflower dies. And the reason for that was mostly because I was doing cards in the mail. Card classes, virtual card classes. And Stampin' Up! Policy prohibits us from selling a kit that has a stamped image in it. So all of my cards were made using the dies. And so I really haven't played with the stamp set a whole lot. So today I'm really happy to be able to do that. So put that aside, and I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper because I am going to be stamping off of my paper. So the card base is Flirty Flamingo, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And then I have another piece of Flirty Flamingo, which is 4 by 5 1/4, and that's where I'm going to do all of my stamping. So the first thing I want to stamp is my sentiment, so that I know that I leave myself enough room for that after I'm done with my flowers. Now I'm going to use the sentiment that says, let's celebrate you. So I'm going to ink that up generously with my Versamark. And before I do anything, I'm going to run my Emboss Buddy over my paper. I always forget to do that. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to stamp it right down here in the bottom right corner. Straight down, straight up. Now I'm going to bring in my large sunflower, and because it's a large stamp, I'm going to bring the pad to the stamp rather than the stamp to the pad. And just make sure I get nice good coverage. And I do want one big flower, so I'm going to do that right here on this corner. It's not going to be the whole flower, but I'm going to do most of the flower. I'm going to just drop that there, and I want to press. It is a large stamp, so I want to press to make sure that I get good coverage there. Okay, and then I'm going to lift it, and you can barely see it, I know, but once it's embossed, it'll just come to life. And now I'm going to do another one right up here in this corner, because I do want another good size impression. Okay, and then one more, which is just going to be a little bit, and I'm going to put it here, but I'm going to be mindful of where my sentiment starts. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of the flower, and last one is going to be on the top right corner. Ink that up, and I'm going to put this right here. There we go. And my Versamark stamping is done. I'm going to put that aside. Now I'm going to bring in, I used clear embossing powder, and I'm going to, I don't want to touch, I want to be careful not to touch where I've stamped. So I'm going to find this little corner here where there's no Versamark, and I'm just going to pour a bunch of it on. Shake off my excess, double check, make sure that everything has been covered nicely. All right. And whatever didn't stick to my project goes right back into my jar. Now, where I was holding this, I did manage to get a little bit of stray embossing powder. So what I'm going to do, where did it go? Right here in the corner, I'm just going to, with a paintbrush, I'm just going to tap that off, wipe that off, all right? So now I want to bring in my heat tool, which you want to make sure your heat tool has heated up a little bit before you start using it. It just makes the whole process go quicker. So I like to keep the heat tool moving so that you're not scorching any one section. And I like to emboss in order, in a sequential way, so that I know for sure that I'm getting every portion of my embossing powder. And so I'm starting in this little corner, and I'm going to come down, and you can see it coming alive. It's starting to melt. And I apologize, it's my outlet is a bit a ways, so I can't really put this right in center in the camera. I'm going to try though. Now, although I see the color coming up, I need to make sure that it's actually melted. So what I do is I just move it, and if I don't see it shining, that means it's heated, but it's not completely melted. So that looks good. I'm going to give it all a once over before I'm done. So now I'm going to start on this section of this flower. And I just love heat embossing. I love doing it especially with the metallics. Those are my absolute favorite. But I think it just adds something so nice to a project. And it really doesn't take a whole lot. It looks like it really was quite the ordeal, but it isn't, really isn't. If you have the patience just to make sure that everything is getting, whoops, come back. Everything is getting nice and melted. Now I'm going to start over here, go on this side. And I apologize, this must be quite boring to have you just sit here and watch. When I edit my video, if I can figure out how to fast forward, I've been slowly trying to learn how to use my iPad. I will certainly fast forward this so that you don't have to watch the whole thing. Can't guarantee anything, but I'll try. Sometimes you find you have a little bit of stray powder. Yeah, like see, I can see it right there, but I'm not going to worry about that. I just think it adds some character to the card. It is a handmade card, and handmade cards are made with love. Oops, come back. I like dry embossing with embossing folders as well. I think that adds great dimension to a card, especially if you have a large background that you don't want just to be a flat piece of cardstock. But I really think that heat embossing is my favorite type of embossing. This little buddy is taking a bit of a while to get melted, good and melted. So now it looks like I have everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it and I'm going to look, I'm going to move it around so I can see anywhere where I might have missed. Here, the center of this little flower hasn't really melted to my liking. There we go. And because my heat gun is so warm, when I go back to fill in where I don't think it's melted enough, it does melt really quickly. Now you do need to be careful because you can scorch your embossing powder and then it just won't do anything. I saw something. Oh, the top of that B. There it is. This side right here. All right, I think that, oops, I think that is just about done. So now I want to attach this to the front of my card, and I do want it to be nice and raised. So I'm going to use a lot of Stampin' Dimensionals there. Okay, so I do want it to be nice and raised. So I'm going to be very generous with my Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to put 3 across the top, 3 across the middle, and 3 across the bottom. And that will keep my card from sinking. Geez, that one won't stick. Oh, I got the peel on both sides. Oh, geez, Anna. All right. Oh, jeez. All right. Now I'm just going to peel all these back. And I'm going to place this in the center of my card. Now, although I do think it is beautiful, just the way it is, I do want to fill in a little more with a little more bling just to make it a little more special. So I'm going to come in with some jewels. These are my large ones. I want smaller ones. You know, before I start a video, I lay everything out, and then by the time I get to doing my video. Okay, so here are some that are, these are a little smaller than the other ones, but that's okay. I'm going to strategically just place them where there is some void, some emptiness, some space. I'm going to put one here. That one is kind of too close. I wanted to try to cover that little dot there. You know what? I like to do things in 3, but I'm going to do 5 here. Simply because I do want to cover that spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll put one right here. Move this one down a little more, and this one as well. All right, now I have a piece of Whisper White, and I'm going to ink up the sentiment that says, "Congratulations on reaching a whole new level of wonderful." And since this customer did order Flirty Flamingo, I'm going to ink it up in Fleur de Flamingo. Now, I did just put my order in, and I needed a re-inker for Fleur de Flamingo. So I'm hoping that this comes out nice and dark enough. Straight down and straight up. That will do. And now I'm going to attach that to the inside of my card. And there we go. I'm so glad I was able to make this. And there's the original with just 3 little gems, and here's one with the 5, and only because I wanted to cover up a little spot that I had. So, and there it is. And it is, you can see it's nice and raised. So if you have any questions about this project or any of the products that I've used, certainly contact me through my blog, www.stampwithanna.blogspot.com. And while you're here, I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel and like this video if you liked it. And if you do not have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator with whom you work, certainly contact me and I'll be glad to set you up with some catalogs. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you back here later for another video.